everybody, my name is Kyle939 and welcome back to another video. Today in this one I'll be doing a market watch video. Yeah, this is kind of the first time for me on the channel kind of doing this. Why am I doing this? Well, I have three reasons why. Number one, I think it's just a very important thing to be talking about in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think card prices in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are just going hand in hand. It's a part of the game, so it's a very important thing to talk about. Number two, it's a very important topic right now as well because a lot of people are discussing, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is getting expensive, so it's been a hot topic in Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently, and I kind of want to give my thoughts on it as well. And number three, the video I had planned today kind of fell through, so this is kind of my backup option. Now, if you want to see more market watch videos in the future, let me know down in the comment section down below. But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the 25th anniversary collection. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this is because the card prices have been slowly moving up, at least in the QC departments, right? Like the supers and all that, they're still pretty cheap. But in the QC's department, they've kind of been shooting up in price as of recently. Now, why is that? Now, let's take Ghost Bell as an example here. If we go to Ghost Bell, as we look through the market price history here, back in like November, it was like, started off as a $19 card, shot up to 27, then, shot back down to 20. But as you can see here, in December, it started slowly moving up, and now it's at like a $50 QC now, as you can see, like more of a $55 QC is moving up. Now, these are two reasons. Number one, Ghost Bell's kind of been moving more into this format now, so it kind of makes sense for Ghost Bell to kind of be shooting up. But number two, the further away we get from the 25th anniversary collection, so the more later down the line, the older this set's going to get, the more higher the prices are going to get for this set, just because if people are not opening the set, the prices of these QCs are just going to shoot up. Now, Ash and Imperm, they've always kind of been expensive QCs, and so that kind of makes sense. But if we take a look at something like Change of Heart, for example, right? Let's take a look at Change of Heart. As you can see, it started off as a 51, then shot down to 16, and then you see this little curve here which starts to shoot up to a $30 card when it once was like a $13 card. So, like, it's not just because Ghost Bell is moving into format. This is happening to a lot of the QCs, right? Where they're slowly moving up in price because we're just getting further away from the 25th anniversary collection. So it might be your time to maybe pick up these cards now because, again, the further we get from the set, the more expensive these QCs are going to get. So, it kind of just makes sense to pick these up, especially since not a lot of a lot of people have been buying the 25th anniversary boxes. So not a lot of stores, like at least here in New Mexico, not that many stores have these 25th anniversary boxes anymore, so you can't really buy these sets anymore. So again, the further we move away, the more expensive these QCs are going to get. So it's probably a right time to maybe buy these QCs before they shoot up in ridiculous prices, right? So that is my opinion on the 25th anniversary collection. Now let's move to Maze of Millennia. Oh boy, the pre-sales are still pretty ridiculous in my eyes. Bonfire is still, it used to be at like 130. Now the lowest pricing is at 107, which, is moving down slowly. Thankfully, I think that's more of a good thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of people are expecting this to be a 130 card. I said that was unrealistic if you watched my Bonfire video. Again, I think it moving down, I think $90 is more of the price point. But again, these are pre-sale prices, so not that many people have listings. I think once people start opening Maze of Millennia, the prices will just keep shooting down. I think transaction rollback as a $90 card is kind of not that realistic either. I think this is going to be more of a $40, $50 card when it comes down, when the set actually releases. So again, a lot of people have been, freaking out about Bonfire being expensive, but again, these are pre-sale prices. I want to see what the prices are once Maze of Millennia actually releases. Next thing up is Age of Overlord, and oh boy, this set just keeps getting expensive. Oh boy, it's kind of a problem. Like, look at this. The box for Age of Overlord is now $125. Fucking ridiculous. That's insane. Just because, again, a lot of people have opened this set, so not that many stores, again, like I said, here in New Mexico, not that many stores have Age of Overlord anymore. So, like, you can't really find boxes, and TCG is now $125, which is fucking ridiculous. That's like double the market retail price, right? So that's kind of insane, but that's just because the set's fucking loaded, right? Like, ignoring the QCs, right? Like SP, $130 card, right? And that's like maybe a 2 of in some decks, depending on the deck you're playing. Wanted are 115s, it's saying as a market average there. Let's see what it actually is. It's more like $100, $105. So, and that's like a 3-0, so that's like $300 right there if you're going to have to buy the Wanted and stuff like that. And like, again, the Metis, which is a random, like, it's a good engine, is $60. You know, the Diabell Stars are shooting up to $40, $45 now. Like, everything in this set is just moving up. The Sky Crisis, which is an ultra rare, is now $30, which is fucking insane. So it makes sense why all this is shooting up. A lot of stores don't have Age of Overlord anymore. And number two, every single, like most of the secret rares in the set is money chase cards. So, you know, that kind of makes sense on why Age of Overlord is getting expensive, especially since, you know, we're moving into this fire format. Like, the Wanteds are just probably going to get even more expensive. You see, like, the QC Snake Eyes, Flamberg Dragon being expensive as well. It's kind of insane, but everything in this set, it just keeps getting more expensive, and it probably ain't going to change anytime soon because the set just released. They're not going to reprint any of these cards anytime soon. Next thing up, I now want to talk about like some deck cores and stuff like that. First thing I want to talk about is Labyrinth. Now, unfortunately, Big Welcome and Butler are still kind of expensive in those prices, but after that, Labyrinth is a pretty cheap deck. Like, you know, Silver Castle is a $2 card, right? You know, Welcome is a $2 card as well. You know, you can get fucking Lovelies for $1.50. Arianas are like $1 for the secret rare, right? From the tins, right? You know, even the tin or Silver Castles are dollars from the tin as well. So overall, the deck is actually pretty cheap, especially like the power traps as well that it plays, like Terrors and stuff like that. And Ice Dragons, especially Ice Dragon, since it just got a reprint, is pretty cheap as well. The only problem with Labyrinth is obviously is Big is now a $30 card, and Butler is, you know, a probably $18 card, which is unfortunate as well. And those are cards you're going to have to buy. But when it can, if you're trying to like be competitive in this meta and you don't want to go towards the fire shit because all the fire shit's fucking expensive as hell, then this is kind of another option that you can buy as well. You just have to eat the price on Big, eat the price on Butler, and then, you know, everything else is going to be pretty cheap. And then there's one extra deck card that we'll get to in 1 second that's also expensive that you're going to have to buy. But again, overall, the Labyrinth stuff is pretty cheap. You just have to kind of eat the bullet on Big and Butlers. Next thing I want to talk about is Rescue. Oh boy, Maze of Millennia. Sure, it brought some expensive cards into the game, but man, it made Rescue pretty cheap now. Now, if you don't have this deck, and this is like still a competitive deck, especially when Phantom Nightmare comes out as well. This is a deck that you can pick up on the cheap. Like, pre-sale prices, Hydrants are 6s and, you know, Turbulences are 2s. These are probably going to drop even more in price once the set actually releases. So, you know, Rescue is kind of a maybe cheap deck that you want to pick up now, and, you know, you don't have to buy like you still have to buy like the Wanteds and the Bonfires, which sucks. But, you know, if you want to pick up this deck on the cheap before the reprints, you know, it was super expensive. Like, look at like fucking Hydrant, it was a $10 Ultra, and that's with this. It was probably even more expensive before the reprints got announced. So, like, again, this is like a pretty cheap deck you could be looking out for right now as well. Next thing up is Rika. Rika is always now been a cheap deck, especially since, you know, the Sun Avalon stuff just got hit on the ban list. Might be something you want to pick up now, especially since Dryas is now a $1 card. This used to be like a $6, $7 card that you had to play multiple of. Now it's only a $1 card and you only have to play one of it because you can only play one of it. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Phantom Nightmare releases the new Aeromage cards as well. So you might want to pick this up on the cheap just in case, you know, Aeromage becomes like a really good deck, or like the new Aeromage stuff brings Rika back into the contention team. Like, if that is the case, I can see like Dryas shooting back up in price and stuff like that, because even though Dryas is limited, you can still pretty much do the combos, right? So, I mean, something you want to look out for as well. Now on to the single cards that I want to talk about. First thing up is Druisworm, and the thing I want to talk about Druisworm is it's now shooting down in price, which is a good thing. As you can see, it shot up in price and it was like a $17 card, at least as the Prismatic Secret Rare was. But now you can see it's shooting down in price and now it's like a $12 card, which is still pretty expensive, but, you know, you're saving yourself $5 if you buy it now compared to if you bought it when, you know, Joshua Schmidt won the YCS, right? So I think this is a pretty good overall price. It might shoot down a little bit lower in price, and this is just the Prismatic Secret Rare. Like, the Super Rare still obviously exists as well, which is also shooting down in price here. As you can see, it used to be like a $13 card, now it's shooting down to 10, and it's more closer to like a $9 card. So again, Druid Swarm now going on, shooting down in price, which I think is personally a good thing, just because again, we're moving into a fire format, so the Bestials might not be a good play, so you might want to pick it up on the cheap. Maybe we move into a format once fire format's over, we move into a format which is back in light and darks. Druid Swarm might come up in that cases once again. Next thing I want to talk about is Chaos Angel. A lot of people expected this card to be reprinted in Maze of Millennia. Obviously, that did not happen, and now it's kind of shooting back up in price. As you can see here, it was at a $96 price point. Now it's shot down a little bit because a lot of people speculated Maze was going to reprint it, and now it's slowly moving back up because it didn't get reprinted in Maze. As you can see, that arc is moving up. So, again, this card is still pretty expensive, and it's not slated to get reprinted anytime soon. Maybe we get the 10 reprint later in the year. But, if you need this card, you probably want to pick it up now before it shoots up in price. Link Karibos. Oh boy, Link Karibos. So the problem with Link Karibo has always kind of been an expensive card. But now since it's playable, since like the Fire King stuff can play this, it's now shot up in price. Like it used to be like a $4 or $5 card, and as you can just see, it's just shooting up because the Fire Kings are now playing it. It helps you, make a dark play if you really need to. Its graveyard effect can come up to dodge like Imperm on your Ponix and something like that. So again, just a card that is just slowly moving up, and it's going to be expensive. Once again, even though Link Karibo has always been an expensive card, it's just going to get more expensive, especially since Fire Kings are now in the meta, right? Next thing up here is Soul Burning, or the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix, my bad. So again, another expensive card because of Phantom Nightmare that's going to be coming out pretty soon. As you can see here, it used to be like a $10 card, and now it's shooting up, and now it's like a $30 card, which is like very, very insane, right? The reason why people are buying this out is because of Phantom Nightmare. Once Populous comes out, there's an OTK with like the Atlantis and the Promethean Princess, which also comes out in Phantom Nightmare, where you can do this, make this gain a shit ton of attack. It's very cool what it can do, but now since it only has the one printing, it is now super expensive. It's only a one-of, so it's not too bad, but $30 is still pretty expensive. And the last card I want to talk about here is Apollousa. Apollousa is now shooting up back in price once again. Why is that? Appo is again slowly moving back into the format, especially since Fire King can make it as well. But another thing is it hasn't had a reprint in a while as well. The last reprint was obviously in Magnificent Mavens, which was last year, or like in 2022, November of 2020. So about a year and like 3 months now, right? So it's been a super cheap card, like $6, and now it shot up to 12. It's back down to like a $10 price tag. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if this keeps moving up, especially since it hasn't had a reprint in a while. Again, it's a card that's always going to be there. It's a generic Link 4, and it has a negation to it as well. So it's always something you're going to have to worry about, and now it's shooting back up in price because again, it just hasn't had that reprint in a while. So yeah, that is the Market Watch video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Again, this was kind of my first time doing it. Let me know if you want to see it again, maybe some tips and stuff like that on how to do this in the future for me. So without further ado, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.